Hello, good afternoon to everyone. Today is the first day of the week of the portion of Bahar and Bechukotai when we read the portion of Bahar that begins with the words Bahar Sinai, the laws that God gave to Moses at Mount Sinai, specifically the sabbatical year. But today is also 2 days just before an important holiday in the Jewish calendar, which is Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer is the 33rd day of the Omer, and Lag BaOmer in Israel is a major holiday, but in Judaism it has a major significance. The holiday is in honor of two events that happened in Talmudic times. Number one, there was a very famous rabbi by the name of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was the leader of the Jewish people in his time, both spiritually and legislatively, and in emotionally as a pastoral leader. On every level, Rabbi Akiva led the Jewish people. Rabbi Akiva's students suffered from a pandemic, and in one period of time, they all passed away. And the decree was over, the pandemic was over on Lag BaOmer. So therefore, it became a holiday. The second reason that we have Lag BaOmer is because it's also the anniversary of the day of passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We'll leave that for the next points of light. I'd like to focus on Rabbi Akiva and his students. The Talmud says that one of the reasons that the pandemic broke out within the camp of Rabbi Akiva's students is because they didn't conduct themselves with true honor for each other. Now, this begs a question. These were all great sages, the students of Rabbi Akiva. To be counted as a student of Rabbi Akiva means that you received not only the Torah study from him, but also the ethics and the wisdom that he imparted. One of the famous statements that Rabbi Akiva made is on the portion that we read 2 weeks ago, where it says, love your fellow as yourself in the Torah. It says, love your fellow as yourself. Rabbi Akiva says this is a great principle in the Torah. So if Rabbi Akiva said that you should love your fellow as yourself, how is it possible that his students who drank from his Torah and ate the words with tremendous zest and internalized it did not conduct themselves in a way of honor for each other? So the explanation is that they thought that they were actually imparting love to their friends. Each one of the students saw Rabbi Akiva's teachings in a different angle, in a unique way. And if another student did not agree with their way, they felt that it was their obligation to convince them and persuade them to understand that the true angle and the true way of understanding Rabbi Akiva is only their way. And on the contrary, because they loved each other, they felt that it was their job, it was their imperative, and their duty and obligation to actually persuade their friends to think like them. The problem is that when you cannot accept a contrary opinion and listen to someone else's voice, then you're not acting honorable towards the other person. And that was the concept that the Talmud is talking about. That's the meaning of the statement, that they didn't conduct themselves with honor. Because true humility means that even though you're firm in your understanding and beliefs and in your principles, but you're still open to listen to what someone else has to say and to honor it, to cherish it, to accept it, and to recognize that that's their pure way of understanding the Torah, as long as it's based on the Torah principles. It's interesting that the Torah portion this week, as I mentioned before, starts with the words Bahar Sinai. The Torah was given at Mount Sinai. The Midrash says that Mount Sinai was not the tallest mountain in that mountain range. There were many taller mountains, like Mount Tabor was a much taller mountain. Mount Nebo was a much taller mountain. Why did God choose Mount Sinai? And the Midrash goes on to answer, because Mount Sinai was the most humble of all mountains. So even though it was a mountain and it was firm and self-confident in its own stature and its own beliefs, but nevertheless, it did so with humility to teach us that the true way of acquiring Torah and internalizing Torah is you have to have self-confidence, You have to be a good student, and you have to understand the words of Torah and internalize them until they become your thought. But at the same time, we do it with humility. And when we have humility, we have respect to each other. So when we celebrate Lag BaOmer, and we talk about the greatness of this day, that the pandemic in Israel stopped in the days of the Talmud, we also learned a lesson that the cause of the pandemic was the fact that there was no humility and that they didn't respect each other, that we should do just the reverse. We should behave and live with humility and also respect each other, even if the other person disagrees with us. Have a wonderful day, and tomorrow we will talk about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his connection to Lag BaOmer.